Oh, hallelujah. It is Beshalach. We are in how many one, two, three, fourth portion of Exodus, the book of Shemot. The names. I always still keep thinking, can't it still bothers me that why did we come up with the name Exodus? Why do we change so many? That's my thing today. So everyone just get ready.
Uh-oh.
Today my whole thing is like, why the heck do we even read this in English? Now, mind you, I am not the Hebrew girl. So if I'm saying it, there's a problem. Like, why the heck are we even like reading this in English? Because nothing seemed to make sense to me. So I'd look it up in Hebrew. And then it was like, that's not even what that means. And then it was a mess. I was a mess. So I'm gonna start with the book. I mean, we say Exodus, it's the book Shemot.
Shemot. And what is that, Charlie?
It's the names. And it's like, this is all about identity, guys. If you are struggling with your identity, I had some great conversations this week, and I'm just going to tell you, if you're in the middle of an identity crisis, welcome to the club. You are in the right place.
Yes, you are.
You are in the right place. Now, if you
are right
coming here because you're like, I am ready to receive like existentialism and the I want to come in, I want them to be like all the division of all the root. We may do that today, but I'm going to tell you, this is a place where we're putting the cookies on the low shelf. I'm just going to say it. The cookies are going on the low shelf today, and we're just going to talk practical. And then I have some, of course, I went through every single Hebrew word, and I only got through 2 verses, and I'm like, I can't study anymore. I'm done. So then there's that. But Brenda, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being my friend and my partner.
Hey, we've had this has been a blessing, hasn't it? This is so fun. Ladies, we are so stinking privileged. Like, I know that a lot of you say, wow, we're so blessed by gathering together with this beautiful group of ladies. And Charlie and I just want you to know that we're blessed. We are blessed to be here. This is fantastic. And we love being with you. So
we sure do.
Yeah, we do. It's been a good week.
For all of you, hello, all of you over on Facebook who are watching us live. I just posted the link. Come over and join us over here. And why? When we're all done, we talk, chat, pray. You
dance
miss out if you.
We danced last night.
Last night in our after party, we danced, we prayed, we worshiped a little, we had some really good ministry time. I feel like
we cried.
It was really good. So we cried. Yeah, it was a good day. We laughed, we cried, we danced. It was all good.
That's a good day.
I broke out my thing. I broke it out.
I
broke it out last night.
You were truly operating in your name. You were truly operating in your Deborah.
That's crazy. And then there's the name thing, Yeah. Then there's that. So anyways, I'm trying to look what the name of that was. The tabret. This is called a tabret, which very similar to what we would have had Miriam have. I was given this as a gift by Robin, Robin with a Y. And she gave this to me and made it for me for my ordination ceremony. Isn't that beautiful? But
so
beautiful worship thing. Not me, y'all. Not me. I'm not the girl who's up in the front doing this. Not at all. I'd rather be in the back and just quietly praying. But yes, apparently this is it. And last night the Father just had me break this out. I was like, woo, waving it around. So I'm just going to tell you, this could be that kind of day too. I don't even know. I'm on Dimetap, or Dayquil, so who knows? Thank you all for your prayers. Those of you praying for my husband and I as we are struggling still with COVID, but praise God, he's our healer. As we're going to see in this portion, he announces that to us. But let's identity, Brenda, right? This whole stinking
yes.
We can just tell y'all, if you don't know who you are, I want you to know who you are before the end. We get through Shemot, the book of Exodus. We have a few. I wrote down on my little paper here. We start out with Shemot, then Vayera, behold. Like, he starts out with, okay, here's your name, here's who you are. Behold, come or go, and sent and let go. He's actioning. If you feel activated now,
yes,
you're in the right place.
Yes.
If you're having,
we want you to feel activated. Mm-hmm.
You're in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying, what is my name? You're in the right place.
If you're saying, I don't know why I'm here. You're in the right place.
You're in the right place. Oh, Brenda.
Yes. Right.
Exodus 13,
Wow,
17 through
so
17,
good.
16. And then Judges 4 and 5:31. Okay. Beshalach. Before we do that, just the only housekeeping I have is that we do have a Creation Gospel Conference coming up the last week of this month. It is a registration. It is a free conference. You're welcome to share those links with anyone. You can go to our website and register, share the link on our website. It's the Rooted Cafe, kafe.com/store. And at the very top, it'll say the registration and also the book, the workbook that Halisa will be referring to is there. You can grab it. This is going to be an amazing conference for those of you who know Dr. Lisa Alwine and Keisha Gallagher. They're both on our board of directors at the Rooted Cafe, but they teach. Halisa has developed and is teaching basically from Genesis to Revelation, right, Brenda?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Through the creation, 7 days. And you guys get to see a foundation of that. I mean, this is a 12-week course that she and Keisha teach. That's free. But you just have to get the workbook to go through it with them. But they're going to do it over a 5-night period, a good foundation, and then you're welcome to jump in and go deeper with them later if you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, I love it. But for those of you who are kind of interested, it's going to be fun. Go in and register. We do have you register because we purchase a Zoom webinar, and we purchase the amount of whoever registers. That's how many seats we purchase to be able. They have packages, so that's how we purchase it. So that's the reason we have to have you register. So
right, but it is free.
Ooh, it is free.
But if anyone wants to donate, that would be a blessing.
That'd be a blessing. And if you can't make it live, you're like, I can't make it live. We do have an all access pass available, which we always do, and it's $29, and it gives you all the videos so that you can watch them whenever you want. You could rewind, pause. You may want to be there live and get the pass. It's kind of like, remember when we used to go to the conferences and at the back of the table, you'd buy the videos? That's what that is. If you are a member, you get that for free. Please do not buy it because you do get that for free. Whew, yeah. And we have fun things coming up. We have a feast. Valerie Moody's going to be teaching us on the feast in the Rooted Cafe. If you're not a member, there's some crazy stuff happening right now that's going to be going on. Valerie Moody's going to be doing like a 22-part series on the feasts and teaching us about honoring and keeping the feasts, the times and the seasons. I'm going to start teaching on the Levitical approaches. Stop, I know. And then the Rooted Cafe men, we are going to start including some of your husbands and doing some special things once. We're going to do our first one next month and just have the men. And thank you, Mr. Fabry. Mary Catherine's husband came up with the name Grit, guys rooted in Torah. So our Grit guys, our Rooted Cafe members' husbands are going to be able to join around a table and discuss Torah and get some community. So I think that's
my husband is really looking forward to that.
I know Randy this morning. Randy's like, how many do you think are going to come? He's going to be hosting. Can you see Randy? He's going to be your host.
And oh yeah, that's so great.
It's going to be fun.
You asked for it. You got it.
Yeah, I think I have to change glasses. Like everyone, look at it's cute. Okay, now we're moving on. All right. So I'm on Dayquil and having hot flashes and feeling claustrophobic. All right, so here we go. Everyone pray. All right, we're going in. Father, thank you for this time. Oh, bless them, bless them, bless them. Thank you that your word, it's anointed. Thank you. I know that it's going to come in with both edges. We prepare as it begins to cut away the things that aren't you, and it begins to restore and heal the things that are. I thank you, Father, that you're establishing an identity in women all across the world right now. Women are rising up into their callings. They're rising up into their places. You know their name. And right now, Father, I ask that you speak their name to them, to their heart, to their mind, to their soul, that would be spoken over them, Father, so that they are established their identity in you. Thank you, Father, as you remind us that you are constantly renewing this covenant with us, that we are your bride. Amen. And we're getting ready, Father. Amen.
Oh man. Whoo, blessings.
This is the makings of a great love story.
No kidding. I'm telling you what, like talk about falling in love with the knight in shining armor. That's what this is all about. This is really interesting, Charlie, how the Holy One is going out of his way. Like the 10 plagues were not even enough. You know what I mean? Like that was powerful, dynamic, but everybody's kind of, their minds are kind of swirling with all of that. And now they've been brought to this place where we begin our Torah portion. And now every time they turn from now for the next 40 years, every single time that they turn around, there's going to be a miracle. Every day, a miracle. Every day. They cannot live their lives without supernatural miracles.
Yes. Isn't this, I was thinking about, when you met your husband and, it starts out with them doing the flexing and they're the strong one and you do all the physical posturing, they're the protector and they're going to be this, you're very physically attracted to them sometimes, at first, but there's a very physical display in a relationship initially, and you want them to be your protector. If we go back in the day, is this caveman? Is this going to be the man who can fight off the wildebeest? Is this the man? So we're looking for this big, strong. So we see God doing that initially. I am your God. I'm above all the other gods. I can fight armies. I can fight all these battles. I can do all these things. We're going to see this, when they come up to a battle. You'll see the Israelites are like, they have no problem believing that he can take care of it. They're like, oh, okay, we're going to do this. Let's do this. There's no grumbling and complaining noted in this about that. Now, water and food, there's grumbling, complaining. A battle against the army, no complaining. They're just like, okay, let's do it. Why? Because they'd seen the strong hand of God, right? Mm-hmm. So they know God is the strong leader, the God of gods. They know all this, right? But now we're going to get to some intimate things. Will he provide for us? Will he care about me in the little things? Will he care about, does he really care about the intimate things? Does he care about I'm thirsty? Does he care if I need healing? Does he care? And we're going to we see, oh gosh, I cannot believe they've seen all these things. How could they possibly grumble and complain? But we're going to challenge you to look at this differently, right, Brenda?
That's right.
Like, is he the God who sees me? Is he the God who is caring about all these little things? And it's not so much the grumbling, the complaining, it is a testing, but it's no different than when you went through your relationship. You're like, you start the process with the strongness of him, the strongness of each one of you knowing, but then you start getting to that. Now let's get to the nitty gritty of this relationship. Are you the person who is going to be there when I'm sick? Are you the person who's going to be there to take care of me? What was that face? Oh, I lost you're muted.
I'm sorry. There you go. I just repinned you. We lost the pin somehow.
Oh, that's on you. Your pins don't affect my pins.
Oh, okay, good. Oh,
yeah. Because I'm recording. Okay. So your pins don't. You're not the pin of me. You're not the boss of my pins.
You're not.
Oh, fun. I started out in the beginning of this, like you're saying. So I literally started in the beginning of this parsha and started looking up every stinking word. Yeah, exactly. Every single word. I started out with, in 17, I just started out with Philistines. I won't say every single word. I did start doing that after I passed Philistines. But I looked up Philistines in 13, 17, and I was like, what is, it says he took them around so that they wouldn't, I'll read it. After Pharaoh had let the people go, God did not lead them along the road to the land of the Philistines, although that was nearby. For God said the people might change their minds if they see war and return to Egypt. Well, we know they're going to see war in a little while, but what does that even mean? Like, so I'm sitting in little things like, so what does Philistines mean? So I looked it up, Palash, and that word actually, that's the word in Hebrew. It's H6428. This could get nerdy a little bit today too. And it means to roll in or wallow in ashes. And then in the South, we say to waller. So they didn't want them to waller. They didn't want them to roll around in the ashes, which we know That's a grieving process, right? That would be grieving, rolling in ashes, probably Hebrew idiom, if you think of it, to roll in, you put the ashes, sit in your ashes. And I was thinking that he loved them so much. He's like, I'm not going to take them by the Philistines because I know they'd be tempted and I don't want them to be rolling around in ashes. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to take them another way. And so he does. He didn't want them to change their minds. I was thinking, are you on a path right now that looks like you're on a detour and it makes no sense? Like, this makes no sense. Brenda, have we been on detours?
Yeah, that's very
like
exactly
20-year long detours sometimes.
Yeah, right. And sometimes you don't understand what the detour, you think, well, where did I miss it? But where did I skip? Where did I not turn right when I should have turned right? Where did I not turn left when I should have turned left? Or, why am I here? What is the purpose of this? And what's interesting is that he deliberately took them on a path that was, I think that in the Hebrew, the word is perplexing. He took them on a path that was perplexing. They were turning this way and turning that. They're going up this way, then they're going back this way. It's like it was perplexing. We'll get into that in the next chapter. But this is real life, Charlie. This is us looking at the word, overseeing the word. It was a message specifically to them at this time. We understand that. It really was. It was a specific word to a specific people at a specific time. But it also is the word of God alive and living. It also applies to us. And we can grab hold of every single one of these things and apply it to ourselves and say, Father, am I walking around being in it looks perplexing? And other people are questioning why I'm doing this and questioning why I'm doing that. And I'm not comfortable. I'm uncomfortable. I feel like there's sand under my feet. Trust that the Holy One himself is the one that is guiding you. If you're walking with him, he's guiding you. And if you take a misstep, he'll guide you back to take the right step. You take a couple steps off the path, he'll bring something along that's going to chase you back onto the path. Hello, let's talk 10 plagues. Okay?
Yes.
He is not afraid to use his power.
Well, Brenda, you're always saying you are exactly where you're supposed to be, right? You are exactly where you're supposed to be. And I think this is the best example of that. We think, well, they were stuck in this. Well, no, they needed to be birthed as a nation. It was foretold that this was going to happen. This is prophetic. They've already been told this, and it would have been passed down through ancestors. They're exactly where they're supposed to be. Even when it looks crazy, they still are exactly where they're supposed to be. And he's like, I didn't want you to change. I didn't want them to change their mind. Or the word is in King James Version says, I didn't want them to repent. The word is naham, H5162. It says, it means I don't want them to groan or to breathe forcefully, like, that's what I'm thinking of, like you guys have teenage girls, that's I feel like that's naham. And he already knew they had a propensity to naham. I know, where are we? What are we doing? And I'm thinking, oh Lord, please forgive me, because there's a lot of things that he's taking. The reason he didn't let me go straight the quick direction is because he knew I would see war, or I would see something and I would start rolling my eyes and nahaming. Why am I here? Why is this happening? Why am I always the one? Why does everyone always do this? Why is this so hard? He already knew that was going to be me. So he took me the long way around. And even though that was not so, even though that was hard, he's going to work that naham out of me. He's going to work that eye rolling out of me.
And that is definitely what he does, because he loves us and he doesn't want us to stay where we are. And listen, I know that I heard it in my spirit. I heard some of you saying, well, you think that everybody's right where they need to be, but there's people that are outside of God's will. There's people that are not walking with him. Well, let me just tell you, he's even bigger than that. He is even bigger than that. Do you know that he will leave the 99 to go after the one? Do you know that his word says that he is going after 7 generations of the sin. He's going to go after it for 7 generations. Yes, it's going to keep coming down the line. It's going to keep coming down through the generations. But what is God doing about it? He is visiting every single generation, every single one of them. They are not left alone. He is after them for 7 generations. He is going to go after them. But wait, it also says that he is going to visit 1,000 generations of those who love him. So guess what? You're covered.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, instead of looking at it like I've blown it and I'm on the wrong path and I'm not where I'm supposed to be, stop right now. You realize how big God is? I'm not saying everything's okay. I'm not saying do whatever you want to do and there's no consequences. Oh, sisters, there's consequences. And there will be hardship because we're loved. He will make things so that we will have that stuff worked out of us. Now, this is him trying to get us out of, not just getting us out of Egypt, but Charlie, getting Egypt out of us, right?
Yes.
And I think that's the harder thing. And that's why, oh, you think that this is the way you're going to go? Well, now I want you to turn around and go backwards. What? I want you to go back the way you just came. What?
Do it again. Wait a minute.
Again.
What?
No.
I have a picture for you guys on that one. That's going to be cool. You know, Brenda, then we keep moving on that verse. I literally went through this verse. I got through 2 verses. And I'm like, I have to stop now. The next thing, it says that they were armed. In the Tree of Life version, it says that they were armed, or the King James version says that they were harnessed. And I was like, oh, cool. They had a bunch of weapons. Like, where'd they get the weapons? And I looked up the word, like, oh, this is great. I'm glad they're ready for fight, because there's going to be some fights. I'm glad they had some stuff. So I look up the word for harnessed or armed, because I have a visual, don't you? Like, right. I get this, like they're harnessed with some weapons and their arrows and whatever they had.
They've got their rifles.
I look up the word. No, that's not what the word means. Again, this is what was happening to me. And I was like, why am I reading this in English? I read this. The word is Hamesh, H2570. And somehow it got translated as armed or harnessed. I'm not sure if that's just old English that we just don't understand. You know, like in the King James time, they use the word meat, and that just meant food or provision. You would say meat. And we mean meat means meat now. So the word, they were armed. They went up with a womb or an abdomen. That is Hamesh is the word. Impregnated with. I'm like, I'm just had to sit in that for a long time. I'm like, what? What do you mean they went up? And he's talking about that they left. We're hearing, we talk about Mitzrayim. Brenda, you want to reiterate that? Like, what is that word? Like,
it is the narrowing passageway. It's basically a birth canal. You are being squeezed and pressed in to a narrow passageway, and you are being forced you're not even able to cooperate. Can I just say that? And you're being pushed into this narrow passageway in order for you to come out. It is a birthing experience. It is you, and you don't have anything to do with it. So put your wings down. You don't have any, he's gotcha. You know, when a woman births a baby, the labor contractions, if everything's working properly, the labor contractions are going to push that baby out, even if he's upside down, wrong way. And I can attest to that, having had one myself that way. But yeah, because the one who's doing it, the body that's doing it, is pushing it and requiring it to be moved down that pathway. That baby is not hanging onto the sides and pulling himself through or pushing him. That's not what the baby's doing. The baby is in that state of submission, and the body is pushing the baby out.
Hello.
So
any more buffing up love?
And we need to,
I got it.
Thank you. Sorry, couldn't find it.
So
anyway,
this is, I think that it's important that this is where we're standing on the edge of the waters, right? This is all happening right outside before the big miracle.
Yeah.
And so I want to see that this is where you are as well in your life. And you should be feeling this, or maybe maybe feeling it from either the positive direction, like, "Ooh, I'm excited, there's new things being birthed," or on the opposite side of that is, "I don't understand, this is chaos, this is crazy." Yes, you're in the
Yes.
right place.
Yes.
Yes, it's the
Exactly.
either way.
Either
And you're going to
way.
back and forth in your life. There'll be seasons, but this is a time when he's saying, I'm birthing a nation. And so what's happening, you're going to hear a lot of birth terms because that's what's happening. He's saying they left out with a Homesh, they left out, and then it says, and you're going to hear that, and we have a birth term of it's Israel, Egypt and Mitzrayim. We have this birth term. We see the waters have to divide and break, and they have to pass through the waters. Oh, wait, that's the whole birthing thing we'll talk about in a little bit. That's also a covenant, right? The cutting of a covenant. It's reinforcing the Abraham that with the covenant he made with Abraham. So we have that. Then he says, he keeps going. He says, and I sent them by the way. And then a little bit, he says, by the way, I sent them around. So God led the people around by the way of the wilderness to the Sea of Reeds. And Bnei Israel went up out of the land of Egypt armed. Okay, so we had the word the way. And then he comes back. I looked up, I'm like, okay, well, the way that's used in here is the word Derek, H 1870. The first time we see that used is the description of the way to the tree of life.
Exactly. That's it.
And if anyone would
Come
private
back.
message me, if you want us to have like a special little session to watch my crazy, how I actually walked through all I did is open Blue Letter Bible and go word by word and looked it up. And then I went and said, what's the first time this word was used? Oh, the first time that word, the way, was used is about the tree of life. So he's saying, I took them by the way of the tree of life. We hear you should have hyperlinks that Yeshua says, I am the way, I am the Derek, I am the way. We have the way of the doorway that is for the sheep. We're going to hear birthing terms and shepherding terms, right, Brenda, through this whole thing.
Every time.
And I'm almost done with my crazy. Then he says, I took them into the wilderness, Midbar, H4057. He says,
what'd you find about that?
You guys, why? I'm 53 years old. My whole life I have used, I'm in the wilderness. I did the wilderness. The wilderness. I've always referred to the wilderness as thinking desert, dry place, all the horrible things. So I look up because I think I already know what wilderness means. I don't need to look that up. But I said, I'm on a tangent. So let me just stay down my little trail. Let me look it up on Blue Letter Bible. So Blue Letter Bible says that it is Midbar. If you look it up, H4057, it says, not in the Greek terminology, but in the Hebrew, if you go the Gesenius, it says fit for feeding flocks, not desert, a pasture from the root that means to lead to pasture, a path to a better place is what we were talking to Stephen. I was talking to Steve and Erica Deneve last night. And he was like, it's a path to a better place.
Yeah. Guess what? It's where you're fed, where you're cared for. It's where you lay down green pastures.
Psalms 23.
Thank you.
23rd. I wrote a big old thing on my notes. Psalms 23. Now I have to go back and reread it from that position.
Yes.
It's the wilderness.
Yes.
Y'all, the wilderness is not
just desert. Yeah.
It's not this desert like, the desert, I'm in the wilderness. The desert is the place he takes to lead you. It's a shepherding term. And we even see it as he puts the pillar behind them like a shepherd. Leads them behind. He leads
that's so good, Charlie.
We're going to see this in the pillar when he says, I'm going to lead you. He leads them through this place and he feeds them. He waters them. We're going to see all the shepherding turns happening. He's not taking him into this horrible place. He's taking them actually into a place where he's setting them up to love on them and to care for them. And I don't know that. I mean, I just sat in that and that was like as far as I could go. I was like, oh, Father.
That's so good. You see, ladies, are you getting that? He's leading you into this area where he's going to take care of you. He's going to take care of everything, water, food, all of these things. He's going to take care of it. When we look with our eyes, all we see is this is uncharted territory. We're not sure where this is. What's on the other side of the hill? This is a little bit scary. This isn't what I'm used to. But what he's saying is, will you trust me? Because I am the God of provision. So if you'll trust me, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And this is all about teaching us to trust. This is what we get to watch. Isn't this so amazing? We get to watch this beautiful movie, Charlie, unfolding in the midst of the book, of this book of names. We get to see their identities coming alive before us. And we get to see all the mistakes that they made, because guess what? Let's look in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's not about they're the ones. Why did they do that? No, hello, look in the mirror. And so we get to see his redemption over and over and over and over and over. And it may not look like we think it's going to look, but he will use, if a generation refuses, he will use their children, and he will go after them, and he will raise them up. And that's what happened.
Yes. I'm going to share this picture because talk about it not looking like it's the way it's supposed to. So the next thing that they do is they take him to Etham. This is where God tells him to go. This makes no sense. Now, this is a guess, I think, of where they're going to cross, but let's just use this as an example. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Pharaoh's down here, see, down here, and they're watching and they're seeing what the heck's happening. And then you see the people walking, and instead of just crossing over, they come up and there's mountains right here. There's mountains. They can't get past this. It's a dead end. So why would this can't be God? Why would he lead me into a dead end? And it was the whole thing was perplexing to them. Like, why am I in the wall, this dead end? And then he turns them back around, and Pharaoh's thinking, oh, they're like, if you guys see where it's at. So I just wanted you to see the visual. This is where they were, dead end. These are all mountains. They can't get past this. It would be a horrible journey. So they have to turn around and go back and cross. Doesn't make sense.
Go back the way they came. Go back towards Egypt. Go back
the way they came. What is he telling you to go back somewhere? And you're like, this makes no sense. Why are you making me go back? Hey, it could be God. It could be God. Mm-hmm. When I was talking to Erica, I wrote notes to Erica. I know you're on here. I wrote, Erica, I love that your husband made a comment. He says it was the last idol standing, and that they were hemmed in. He made them face the last idol standing.
Yeah.
He made them face the last idol standing. You guys, does he have you in your Etham? Is he have you there? And you're like, this makes no sense. And people around are going, it looks like you're at a dead end and you're not going anywhere. And do you feel like you're like hemmed in on all places? And I mean, there should be so many verses sparking up inside of you about being surrounded, hemmed in, everything's all around me, but God. I think it's time to look up and say, what idols have you put up in this place that he's wanting you to face, that he wants you to tear down? He wants you to address these idols so that you can now move on and leave your Egypt in the identity that he's called you to.
Uh-huh.
It's gotten.
Okay, thank you. Oh.
Thanks, Mary Catherine.
Okay. Yes, Charlie, that's really good. The fact that we need to do, and you and I talked about this recently. I can't tell you when, but we talked about this recently. This is the space. This is the time. This is where we come up against this dead end, right? And this is when we take courageous moral inventory. This is when we look at ourselves and we say, okay, hold on a minute. This is a dead end. This is going nowhere. This is not happening. Nothing's working out. This is when we stop and say, all right, Father, this could just be you taking me on a journey, and I will learn and I will get pushed, and it'll be squeezing and it's going to be painful and all that. And I'm good with that. Or this could be you saying to me, where are your loyalties? Do you have something that you need to let go of? Is the baggage that you're trying to carry on this journey not the right baggage for this journey? Have you packed the wrong suitcases? Have you packed swimwear when in actuality you need winter clothing? What are the things that you have in your walk right now that are not serving you well, that you have to let go of? That's where we need to be right now. Going through this, Charlie, I'm telling you, it just kept on getting me every time. And you guys, we're not even in verse 3 yet, but this is what he's saying. If you're feeling hemmed in, that's a good thing, because he has us hemmed in. At the same time, check yourself. especially
I'm still at verse 2 where he's like,
you're still
they
at 2,
left
yeah.
the land of Egypt armed, Hamesh, with a womb. They left. I mean, like, I'm just
Right. And that's
we
a
have to know
5.
that
You know that's 5 also. Linda Millett put it in here too. Thank you so much, Linda. But that Humash, that is also the number for 5. And a lot of scholars believe that what that's talking about too, also on top of this, because it's always multi-layered, guys. It doesn't mean anybody's wrong. It just means there's another layer to it. So let's look at it from this angle. And that is
you have something next year to look forward to.
Exactly. Is that only 20% of the Israelites left Egypt and went into the wilderness. Only 20%, 1/5. Isn't that heartbreaking? But that is considered, from the sages. Yeah, that they all didn't leave because they all didn't want to let go of Egypt, so they stayed where they were. Interesting. So there you go, Charlie, go.
So we're going to get all the emails now. Brenda.therootedcafe@gmail.com.
Yeah. You can send
that is from the
sages.
Yeah. There's so many things layered in the Hebrew language. Our God is a genius. So when the reason he chose the Hebrew language is because it's not like other languages in that it's dimensional and it's beautiful and learning all the things. But then we jump into the showdown in chapter 14.
Wait. Can we do one thing before we go there? Please, let's not pass this part up. Okay. Yeah. In the next verse, it says, and Moses took the bones of Joseph with them, for he had made Bnei Israel swear an oath, saying, God will surely remember you, and then you are to carry my bones away with you. The first time that the bones are used, that word for bones, because every time it's going to hyperlink you, all of the concepts of the word of God are related. So the bones of Joseph didn't want to be left in Egypt. He never became an Egyptian. People say that. No, he never did. He was never an Egyptian. He stayed there because that was his mission. That was where he was to serve. That was what he said yes to. He agreed to that. But he begged the people, the Israelites at the time, please, when God remembers you and delivers you from this place, take my bones, don't leave me here. So bones, first time it's ever used, of course, in the garden, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. And it takes us right back to the beginning. Why? Because this is a birthing process. This is another look at the creation. This is a nation being created, a people, a home, a temple, a building where the Holy One wants to dwell. This is being created again, and it's being created again. And then when we go through the water, it's being created again. And when we hit the fire on Mount Sinai, it's being created again. He's showing us this over. He's going to show us in so many different ways that one of them is going to catch our attention.
Well, it's like renewing your wedding vows, right?
Yes.
Why? You renew them, so you remind it again, and then we start the book of Deuteronomy, and he's like, okay, so here's a new generation, so let me remind you again of the vows of who you are. And I'm going to pound this home. If we didn't do it well enough the last 2 years, and if you've been with us 7 around our table, this is about your identity. Yes. This is not about laws and commandments and thou shalt nots. This is about him proclaiming over you who you are. Yeah. And the way he has to do that, sometimes I know, like I was in the military. I had to go to, and I went nursing school. Good Lord, I felt like that was harder than the military. They tear you down to 0 and then build you back up. So sometimes the reason he'll take you out to pasture, to the wilderness, to the place where he has to feed you. You can't feed yourself. Can we hear that?
Right.
The wilderness is a place where he has to feed you. We look at Yeshua went to the wilderness and he was fed. We see what Elijah went to the wilderness and he was fed. This is a place where he needs to feed you so that you don't feel so self-sufficient because you can do it yourself. He has to take you to the place where you recognize him as your shepherd, that you recognize him as the one who's leading you. And if he left you in a place where it was like, woo, you're going to think it's all you. So he has to take you to a place where and I hate to say tear you down, because that's how I felt like in the military, to rebuild you as an identity of this army or whatever the identity. They put a uniform on, they put uniforms on us. We all had to have the same hair. We all had to wear the same glasses. If you wore glasses, we had to walk the same way. We had to have our beds the same way. We had to have our clothes the same way. But they got rid of all of our things that were personally identifying us. We all had the same underwear, the same shirts, the same everything. Everything was to strip us from our identity so that we had an identity as a team. I see this happening in this story. Everything gets stripped. Egypt has to get stripped away, as opposed, other than the golden. We're going to see this golden calf. It's like, no, you're doing the wrong thing. I was using that. We needed that for something else. We have a tabernacle to build with all that. But we're going to see this identity birthing. And it's so important that you grab this here. If there's things being stripped away, or you feel like you're pulled away from everyone and you're not around all the people, and maybe you're not in a congregation right now and you're a fellowship and you're feeling lonely, I do not want to minimize the heartache of that. But can I ask you to look for your shepherd? Can I ask you to grab Psalms 23 and just literally meditate in that? Where is the still waters? Is he restoring your soul? Has he taken you through the valley of the shadow of death? Has he taken you to the depths? And he's wanting to, I can't know the heights until I know the depths. Is that what's happening? And we have to know this before we walk through these waters right now, ladies. We have to know this before we get birth, because everything we're going to do from here is going to build on this moment right now. Right, Brenda?
Yes, exactly. That is exactly right. Charlie, I love that imagery that you just created for us, that everything was stripped down from you so that you had the space to create this new identity as a corporation, as a corporate unit. It was not all about you. And one of the things that the Torah teaches us, which we are so, especially here in the Western world, we are just not used to, and that is that this is a community. This is a corporate identity. This is not about one person. He deals with, of course, you are an individual. Of course, I'm not taking that away from anyone. Every one of us, we have to, like I said, take courageous moral inventory. We have to look at it. We have to look in the mirror. We have to be responsible for ourselves, of course. But this is not just about you and your salvation and you getting to heaven. That is not what this is about. This is about building a community. This is about building a home for the Holy One to dwell. This is about him saying, I want to dwell with you for all eternity. How is that going to look? And us saying, hey, I'm not quite sure, but you know what? Put something in my hand and I'll build whatever you have for me. That's what this is about. If I have this and they have that, we can do this together. That's what this is about. It's about what is this looking like as a group? And, even things like holiness, we always take the identity of holiness and we think that it's individual. I'm sorry, guys. Holiness is not created on an individual basis. Holiness is created when you're put in the middle of something and everybody around you is rubbing you wrong. Holiness is when you have somebody that knows how to push your buttons and you are being challenged to create a space where you will not lose your cool, where you will say, not today. Today, I am not losing my temper. Today, I am not going to say that word. Today, I am going to have shalom in my home. I don't care if that is on the TV or if that noise is happening or there's arguing going over here. Today, I am creating this space right here, Father, for you to dwell. How do you want this to look? It is not about individuality. And when we get to that point where we think it's only about us individually, we're missing the big picture because we need you. This community right here, just our little tiny community, which is like a thumbnail, not even, but our community, we need each and every one of you. We need your fragrance. We need to know what God is saying to you and through you. We need you to practice it. We need you to talk about it. We need you to be looking out for one another. We need you just like you need us. And it's corporate. And in that, all of a sudden, we start seeing things just a little bit different, Charlie, don't we? When we get our eyes off of ourselves, all of a sudden we start looking at the bigger picture. What is the Holy One doing? And then all of a sudden our hurts, our angst, the hardships that we have, the burden gets lifted when our eyes are focused on somebody else, when you're looking for somebody else that you can help, even if you aren't feeling good. If you only have 3 cans of soup and you take a can of soup to somebody else and you're helping them out because they have 0, God will bless you. He will. That's who he is. So I'm just saying, please, when you're reading these scriptures, when you're reading the book of Shemot, please look at it through all the layers. Look at it how God's speaking to you directly. Look at it how God's speaking to you as a community. Look at it how God is speaking to his people throughout the entire. He's after the redemption of the creation and all of the people and the creation. Yes. That's what he wants to redeem. So
you guys, our chat over here. When in again, I can't say enough about joining us live over in Zoom, in the meeting, because our chat, these ladies are blowing it up. It's so hard not to look at it. I do read later, but it is hard, y'all. We've got some great stuff, and again, yes, you are hearing creating the space. It's the theme of January. Create the space. If you didn't hear it when you're listening to Brenda and Halisa talk about it, you're going to hear it's coming. He's talking about it. You should be hearing it all around, because he's wanting you to create spaces. And women, I know last night, man, Brenda prophesied over these women that were there last night about creating the spaces in their home. And I have to share right here from Marcia was saying the word in Psalms 23 for path is H5696. And for you that are new, if you don't know what that means, in the Strong's Concordance, which is the book where you can look up Hebrew or Greek. And if you use blueletterbible.com, they'll always have you can type this number in H5696. They'll assign a number to a word. And then that way you can find that word anywhere because sometimes it's translated differently in English. So that kind of just gives you a constant to find that word. But the word means to revolve, circular, around. So the path means to revolve or circular around. And I messaged back to her, yes, like a wedding ring. You guys,
that's so good.
This is the path that he's giving you them. I mean, how good is that? This is the path that he's making to them. The path is the ring. I mean, I always say that Shabbat is our ring, but isn't that the path? Isn't that the path
it absolutely
to the way? Isn't that the way? Isn't that all I mean, really? I mean, you guys, maybe I hope you get excited, because I think we did 3 verses. We did 3. This is the biggest. We were both like, I'm overwhelmed. This is such a big portion. There's so much in here. Should we focus on the Song of Miriam? What should we focus on? Oh my gosh, what about this? And what about this? Oh my gosh. And then there's the parting of the waters. And how deep do we go into that? We're on the 3rd verse,
Hey, and by the way, when I told you that bones is the first time it's ever used is when it's used in bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh, she shall be named woman, because she was lakha. She was taken from man, whole, separation, and brought back together for a purpose. Always separation is brought back together for a purpose, right? So this is what's happening. But I loved the fact that it's reminding us that this bone, it's Joseph right now in the story, but it's reminding us to go back to the beginning, to the garden, when he brought us that word bones, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman. How beautiful is that? Because we're not being left out in this story. I know that that it talks a lot about man, but you understand that man is a generic term in the sense of we are all one. We really are.
Yes.
We were one, pulled out, put back together. So really, but I just loved that. And I loved that the word taken was used there too, because we are seeing that word taken in this Torah over and over and over in this portion, Charlie, to be taken, which is to be picked up and elevated to another spot.
Yes.
To be taken with a purpose,
That's it right there. Yes. That's it right there. To be taken with a purpose. You're going to see that. And that's the fun thing about doing, again, you have the rest of your life to do this.
Yeah.
You could pick one
Exactly.
verse. I started just wondering, wonder what Philistines means in Hebrew. I mean, that's
Oh,
where I
that's a good
started.
one.
And that's when I did that. And then I started going, and I'm like, well, what about this next thing? I wonder what this word means. And I'm actually going to look each word up in Hebrew and just give my own self a little picture. And I don't do that very often. I'll do, different things, but this time that's what I did. And I just got stuck in this whole picture of this. They were left as a womb.
Kind of looks like that.
Looks like that. And I go through each one. And
Yeah,
again, I would love,
perfect.
we have that for free for you guys. If you go, I mean, it's our, if you you go in
gift
and just
to
let
you.
us know if you don't already have it. You should be able to sign in and get it already. It's our gift to you. You can go into the Ruta Cafe. It's free in there. It's like how to study the Bible. We go, Gail does a great job at that. And then Brenda and I go through how to use the Blue Letter Bible. You think you know how to use it. You probably know how to use it from a Greek mindset. And it's really important that you know how to use it from a Hebraic mindset and not looking at the definition of English words, but you want to know how to know what do the Hebrew words mean. And we do it very simple. You guys know we put the cookies on the bottom shelf. We put the cookies on the low shelf. So that's where we're going with this. So it's not going to be too hard. It is not too hard. Deuteronomy tells you this is not too hard. So that's a lie from the pit of wherever.
Nowhere.
That's not.
Hey, and you know what, you guys, this hit me this morning, Charlie, and I'm so glad that you said that, because this morning I just got hit with this. You know what, you guys, you need to grab a study buddy. Seriously, get a study buddy. You want a study buddy on the portion?
Put it out there.
Put it in there. I want a study buddy. Maybe we can make a cute little graphic or something, Charlie.
Yeah, we do, but nobody will look at it, and they'll all.
Well, that's true. But if you guys want a study buddy,
in the wrong places. So,
put it in the portion and just say, "Hey, me, look at me. I want a study buddy." And then you know what, guys, start picking each other. Start doing that, because even if you both have no idea what you're doing, then watch the videos that we made that are free videos that we made to help you. And then go from there and have a blast. Just have a blast. And if you are super, super, super great at this already, you read, write Hebrew, you do all the things, you know all the things, you've studied with the rabbis, and somebody wants a study buddy that hasn't been anywhere before, doesn't even know what Hebrew looks like, grab a hold of them. How fun is that?
Yeah,
we can do this together.
Stop holding on to your stuff by yourself. We're going to call you out right now. If y'all say I'm lonely, why? There's 1,800 of you. Why are you lonely? Go find a friend.
That's right.
Really?
And you don't have to know if you've been in this walk for 3 days, you know more than somebody that's been in this walk than 1 day. Okay. So
yeah,
that's ridiculous. You don't get to use that excuse anymore.
Wow. Yeah. That's it, girls. Big girl panties this year, because this is who you are. We get to jump out and be these people. I'm like, I don't even know where to go.
So you wanted to go into 14.
I want to show. I mean, we're already an hour in. Okay, God. Geez. Okay. Let me just I have to share my screen again. Okay, you guys, this is what our Bruta Cafe library book looks like. I'm going to go into Gail's teachings. I just have to do it because I'm going to use
so
her
amazing.
Teaching.
Oh,
so I'm going to go in, and y'all don't get dizzy, because I'm going to go down to Beshalach this week's. This is the Parsha point. She goes in and teaches about the water and what the covenant of that looked like. And what I want to just say, as the story goes, Pharaoh is fearful of the strength and number of the Israelites, and he fears that they will rise up against him. So he decrees that all Hebrew baby boys will be killed at birth at the hands of the midwives. And when he said that the Hebrew women are giving birth before the midwives arrived, they became great that was a great alarm for Pharaoh. In his view of these events, shed doubt on the justice of his plans. After all, his reasons, if the gods responsible for protecting and blessing the birth process are allowing the babies to be born before the midwives arrives to murder them, then perhaps those gods are really against Pharaoh. So Pharaoh's horrible workaround was the ancient water or river trial by ordeal. You guys, this is something that you need to know that you don't know, is the whole thing about walking through the waters. There's so many reasons for this, not just birthing through a water canal, but we're talking waters breaking. We're not just for that reason. This is an ancient Near East called a trial by ordeal. Okay. And again, for those of you that are members, you can go back and read this in your library. Trial by ordeal I'm shouting, I'm sorry.
It's
In the
okay. I
ancient
got it.
Near East is involved having the accused do something dangerous or life-threatening. If the accused survived the ordeal, it was because the gods saved them, and he or she was proclaimed innocent. If the accused drowned, it was because the gods didn't save them, thus declaring their guilt. You all think about the Salem witch trials. Well, if we burn you and you live, you're not a witch. This is it. If we throw you in the water and you live, well, then the gods saved you and you must be okay. The idea was that the judgment was left in the hands of the higher source. Ordeal by water was one such trial used in ancient Egypt to appeal to the Nile god. I've heard the Pharaoh using this method after the plot with the midwives is likened to getting a second opinion or a guilt or innocence of the Hebrew babies.
Wow.
So the water was used as a judgment because the waters of chaos figured prominently in the belief system. Pharaoh put the Hebrews on trial by throwing baby boys into the Nile. Pharaoh would then seem justified by watching the world that they died because this meant that they were guilty in the judgment of the gods. That Moses survived was a sure sign that he was innocent in the eyes of the gods and protected by them. No wonder he was invited to live as a son of Pharaoh.
Wow. I never saw it from that perspective, Charlie, that the Pharaoh's daughter would of course say, oh my gosh, this is a blessed child because this child survived.
The gods, their gods. We say little g.
Their gods with little G's, guys.
They must have saved him. Yeah, they were saying, oh, he survived this trial by water, this ordeal.
So
so he says, there would come a time when these roles were reversed and Egypt would be put on the trial by water. That happens in this Torah portion. Our master Yeshua taught us that Hebraic concept of measure for measure, or in Hebrew, midah, kenegdo midah. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you. The phrase means measure corresponding to measure, and the consequence of sin is fit the crime. Pharaoh commanded his people to drown the Israelite boys in the water of the Nile. Later, his own army perished by drowning in the Red Sea in pursuit of the Israelites. I want you to see that was just a reason. Thank you, Gail Heaton, again, for sharing all your genius. I know you're an incredible studier of his word, but understanding another layer of ancient Near East perspective, understanding that this was a proclamation to the Israelites who had lived, Israelites in the mixed multitude. Remember, there are Egyptians with them. He's proclaiming to them and to the Egyptians on the other side that they did not make the trial by water, the trial by ordeal. The God is not pleased and closed in the water. He showed who was saved, who was saved out of the water, and then who was not. And he made a division between the two. That would have meant something to them that we don't understand. Hopefully that gives you an insight of how much more in depth this whole showdown at the Sea of Reeds meant.
Every one of these trials, every one of these things that happened were specifically meant to tear down the belief system that was still residing within the people that were to become the nation of peoples who were the light of the world for all generations. Those things, those mindsets, Charlie, had to be torn down. And so they had to see, I mean, even the Israelites had to see that all of these were drowned. And so even if they still had that lingering doubt, or they were still holding on to the belief that, well, maybe some of the gods still are powerful. If they were holding on to that, they're saying, oh, hold on a minute. No. He's taking care of all of that.
Second opinion.
Second opinion. I love it.
Nope.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't that great? If you think that your boss giving you a paycheck is truly your source of income, no. Yes, he gives you a paycheck because you do the work, because you're blessed to be able to do that. Hallelujah. But God is the one who provides your source.
Yeah, and we can say this again. We've said it every week. I think that that in the last days, it'll be like giving birth. Ding, ding, ding. Where are we at right now? We're hearing a story about giving birth. Ding, ding, ding. What is it like? There's birth pains. Things are taken away. He's gonna take you to a wilderness or a place to nurture and feed you. And he's going to take away what you think is your provision. He's going to remove the things that you're comfortable with. And instead, he's going to build you as a community and a nation, because he's going to birth you into your identity that you're called to. This should all, it's all part of, it's not just last days. This is like, it is last days. And in my personal belief, this is where we're living, but it is also, it doesn't matter if it's not, but it also is in the process of birthing who you are, ladies. It's so practical. It is so practical. It is so practical. And we see the whole thing of the mikvah. I mean, this is all part of it. This is a big giant mikvah.
Right.
He takes the people through this. And anything else you want to talk about this Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds, not the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds?
Yeah, it's interesting that when the water, I just saw this for the first time, the water, like the way that it is explained is there's a wall of water on the right side and there's a wall of water on the left side. But you know that when you look at a sea, it's a mountain, like inverted mountain, right? So it's not level. So what's happening here is that the people are being able, all of these people are being able to walk on this and go across there. It doesn't say that they're going down into the sea. It says they're walking across. I think that there is something that's happening that is holding them up. There's not only is the water on the sides, but there's something that has come up to support them as they are taking this path, this walking through. And when I was looking at that this morning, I thought, wait a minute, hold on a second. If you've ever seen underneath the ocean, guys, that it is not it's not flat. It's cavernous. It's hills. It's down below. It's all, that's not what they were walking. They were walking across. Interesting, huh? And I love the fact that the water was on the sides and it was like gelled. I mean, it was being held back. That is so amazing.
Brendan, I think that Gail even talks about this in her Parsha point. I read it, reread it again this morning early, but, and actually I know she did, it is not a coincidence that Yeshua chose to walk on water.
Not at all. He was showing it that the water, Charlie, was at his command, that the molecules of the water were at his command to be still.
Well, and he's reminding him to this story. He's reminding him of this story. He's saying, remember the covenant? This is who I am, God. I am in charge. I can, this, they would have been like, oh yeah. Trial by ordeal. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Sorry, I sound like a smoker.
That's okay. Walking, this is exactly, we all need to remember and be hyperlinked to Yeshua walking on the water through this. We also need to be hyperlinked back to the days of creation when the water was separated from above and below and dry land was brought up. Why? Why was the dry land brought up, you guys? Always, division is always for a purpose. The dry land came up, the water was divided from it in order that it would produce life. And that's when the trees and the plants and all of the things that would feed the world all came up. That's exactly what's happening right here, Charlie. The waters are being divided. The dry land, they walked on dry land. The dry land came up and met them, and they walked across it. Why?
Like a land bridge.
Life. Exactly. To produce life.
January 23rd through 27th, we all would like to join us in the Creation Gospel Conference as Lisa outlined. We'll talk about day 3 of the creation and when the waters are separated and why this is important. Again, look at this. We see the days of creation. Day 3. This is great. There's my segue. Really, if you're not going to be joining, get the videos when she's there. Get the videos, because I'm telling you, if you haven't listened, and you can also go on YouTube, you can watch the Creation Gospel, look them up on YouTube. You can watch her videos on there, but you can look at what is day 3. You can spend time in that. What is day 3? Mary Catherine said it's a double tov day. It was a double tov day. That's good. He said it was good. It was good on day 3. Not good.
That's so good.
So, I mean, again, ladies, hopping all around. my funny thing in this, the Sea of Reeds, when they cross over, is in 14:24. He says, now it came about during the morning watch that Adonai looked at the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of the fire of cloud and caused the army of the Egyptians to panic. I just have the look. Y'all know
The look.
my daughter will tell you she was afraid of the look. And I think we talk about this every year, but it has to be repeated. It is just funny to me. You have to bring in the laughter. Can you imagine? Adonai looked at the army. I can't even, like, what? I mean, I know my mom's look, and I know my look to my daughter, and I know, like, the look. It's like, don't. But this is the look. Like, he looked at the army. Now I want to go back in and relook at that word. Like, what is the word that he looked? But I mean, he sees them and he causes them to panic. Of course they're panicking. Right? First they panic, and then he took off their chariot wheels. So when we hear this, some may trust in horses and some may trust in chariots, but we will trust in the name of our God. Listen, if you're looking around, I mean, do you look around right now and are some wheels falling off some chariots in this world we live in? I mean, really, the wheels, God caused the wheels to fall off. So he's like, yeah, you're not going to chase them. First, I'm going to panic you. Then I'm going to take your wheels off. And then so that the Egyptians say, get away from the presence of Israel, for Adonai fights for them against the Egyptians. I mean, he did it all. So that's what they would say, right? Get away. How cool. Are people around you, you guys, are people around you saying, Adonai fights for her? Is that what people are saying about you?
Ooh.
Did it look scary for them? Yeah. Was it confusing for them? Yeah. Were they going to places they did it? Was it hard? Yeah. What? Very hard. Yeah. I mean, we think it's hard. You guys have a key and you get in your car and go drive somewhere. They were walking and had little carts. You have no idea. We think it's hard being a prairie, going across the prairie, you know, settling you have no idea the shoulders you stand on to live the way you live right now. I want you to see these people right now. And I love, like, the pictures. I love in the Tree of Life blog because I have such great visuals right here. But here's the visual they have in there. But I just the visual, you guys, these are the shoulders. These are the women that can carrying, you know, they have, their bread isn't risen. They just have all the ingredients. They have all their stuff. They're carrying it on their back or in a little cart. It's hot. It's heavy. It's a lot of work. It's not loading up the minivan and getting in the seat with your
air
heated
conditioning
seat and your massager, massaging heated seat with your GPS. We have no clue. These are the shoulders we stand on. These are the women whose shoulders we stand on as we jump into these songs of these women.
Hey, they brought their timbrels. You tell me. They brought their timbrels. So exactly. If they didn't have time to pack, they didn't have time to let the bread rise, but they packed timbrels. Now, I just love the fact that they packed their timbrels. Why? Because you said this yesterday, Charlie. You said because they were anticipating to be able to worship. They were anticipating that something was going to happen. That's freedom. Why would they pack their timbrels? Yeah.
To celebrate the freedom. Yeah. To celebrate their freedom.
Mm-hmm. And I love that Miriam led the women after the song of Moshe. Miriam led them in that dance. She said, let's do this. Let's do this way. Let's worship him for all time. Let this be the song that comes forth from our lips. Yes, this is hard. Yes, this has been a journey. Yes, this has been difficult, but let's let the gratitude come from our hearts and speak forth. I'm telling you, people, gratitude changes us forever. And that's what we see in this song of Moses and Miriam. We see how they are pronouncing who the Holy One is. And because of that, who they are.
Yeah.
They're getting an idea of their identity. It's not there yet all the way, but they're coming into it.
Well, that's what we do at first. I mean, you think about, let's go back. We have the strong presence. We understand he's the guy who saves. He's the God who saves. He's the God who delivers. He's the battle warrior. So now they're like, oh, he's our king. Mm-hmm. Yes. He's the God. Yes. Okay. Now they're getting re-excited. Remember, mixed multitude. They're all getting unified. Okay. Yes. The big battle cry. Yes, 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 yes. We can do this. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to start going into this chapter again. Okay.
Now
you're that guy.
Let's hit it from another angle.
I mean, we look at politicians when they're like jumping up and down, screaming about all this, they're going to lead us in war, and during a wartime where our president is our war hero, and we have our generals, and yes, yes, yes. But are you the guy who cares if my children are educated? Are you the guy who cares if my children have health care? Then we start questioning the personal stuff. This is no different what's happening with them, but we get them on this other side. And I have the gift that I was given by Robin. She sent me a really great, a great explanation of this tabret. And in Isaiah 30:32, it says, and in every place where the grounded staff shall pass, the staffs of judgment, the word of God, which the Lord shall lay upon him, or it shall be with tabrets and harps, and in battles of shaking, brandishing will he fight with it. I'm telling you, I know it sounds silly. It's a embroidery hoop. It's embroidery hoop with some thing and some little thing. I would recommend y'all make some of these leaves. And even if you just glue some with your children and you start doing battle in your homes, what if you just start waving these around and start doing some battle? Because we see these are used through the rest of this. The women go out, they went forth in battle. They brought their tabrets. They were waving things, and they were making sounds, and they were worshiping. This is what happens when they start the song of Moses and Miriam. This is very prophetic, huh, Brenda?
It's so beautiful. Yes, it really is. Everything about it, everything about Moshe and this water, this bitter water. He's going to grab us from every angle. You realize that every step of the way here, he's going to show us another aspect of his beautiful character. It's a diamond, remember. It's not just one attribute or two attributes. It's a diamond, and every time you turn it, the light's going to shine on it. It's going to give you just a little bit better clarity. But then you turn it again, and it's like, I've never seen it from that perspective. I've never seen that beauty before. That's who the Holy One is. And here again, with the bitter waters, they're made sweet. And it's so, you guys, you know this story, but read it again. Read it again. Think about Yeshua. Who made those waters sweet? Yeshua did. And one of the things that was the complaining. So he's not going to let us get away with that, because complaining is horrible, guys. Even if things are tough, complaining is horrible. If you have somebody that you go to and they talk to you about stuff, and they're your trusted confidant, don't burden them their entire lives with your complaining. All right. If you've got an issue, talk about the issue, and then from there, get into worship, gratitude, praise, whatever it takes for you to get out of the complaining mode, because that complaining mode will just keep your feet cemented. You won't be able to move forward. All right. So we learn that here, the whole grumbling thing. And then we go right into the manna from heaven, which the
I want to just real quick back to the water.
Sure. Do it with the water.
The water, we have this here, here happens. We have, he puts the tree into the water, and it's made sweet. Again, like you said, we have the tree of life. Yeshua makes this sweet. We have Yeshua meeting the woman at the well saying, I'm going to give you living water. This would have been a hyperlink to this story. But can I just tell you guys this? If only they had waited and stopped grumbling and complaining, what happened next? Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees. So they camped there by the waters. You guys, beautiful. That's not an accident. Listen. If they had not grumbled, if they had just waited, just a little down the road was Elim. it was enough. There was more than enough. There was 12 to let us know there was enough for every tribe. 70, it was complete. There was enough for everyone. It was perfect. It's just down the road. But they were griping and complaining. She was like, fine, here's a canteen. Have a little water. Here, have some water. They're trying to, it's kind of like when when you have bought your child, like you see the picture, like it has like Jesus with the stuffed animal and he's got the big, huge one behind his back. And the little kid has this tiny one going, but I want it. And he's like, let it go. No, I want it. This is that. They're like, we don't have water. It's bitter. He's like, oh, okay, here, have a little drink because I already know that just down the road where you're going to camp, there's enough. Yeah. It's an oasis. There's living springs.
Yes.
He's telling, when Jesus says, if you only knew what you asked, I'm going to give you springs of living water.
Living water.
This would have been hyperlinked to this, I believe, because he's saying, here's the things. There's 12 springs. There was 70 palm trees, which meant dates, which meant shade, which meant provision. This is all everything. Sweetness and provision. Like y'all can spend time, if you just spend time in verse 15:27, and you go through the Blue Letter Bible and look up and spend time meditating on what is the word Elim? What is it? Why is it important that there were 12 springs of water? What does the number 70 mean? What do palm trees mean? Well, I mean, all those things, you literally could be like, okay, this year I'm going to spend time in verse 27 of the chapter 7. And you could be in there for a while. And it should be the thing that refreshes you. I want you to understand, if you're feeling stuck right now and you're crying out, and maybe he gave you need provision, he may have sent you a little bit of money, and you're like, but that's not all I need. And he's just saying, I just made the bitter water sweet for a minute, sister, so it can get you to the end of the journey.
Exactly.
Just to get you, because what I have for you is more than enough. Because that's who you are. You're not, he says, I've never seen the righteous forsaken or seen them beg for bread. Sister, he doesn't want you, he wants you to know that he has more than enough for you. But he also cares enough to know when you're crying out in the middle and you want a little drink on the way, that he'll make those waters sweet for you too.
Amen. And he gives us in the midst of that, Charlie, he gives us a glimpse of who he is. He is Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh Rapha. He is the one who heals. Yeah. He is the one who heals. And I did a deep dive study recently, and we'll see where that goes. But one of the things about the name Rapha, for healer, we say healer, but what it means in Hebrew, the root of it is a sewing and a mending together. He's not the one who just heals you from diseases. He's the one who sews your pieces back together when you're fractured, when you're broken, when you've been torn, when you have fallen apart. He is the one who sews you back together. He mends you together. But that's not all. And that's not all, guys. Can you hear the commercial? Because what it means is not just a mending together of two broken things, but a mending together so that it is quote unquote pristine, is what the word is. In other words, it's made better than it was before it ripped apart. That is who he is. And that's what he's saying here. This is who I am. You haven't even gotten a glimpse of it yet. Not only am I going to restore you, it's going to be so much better than it could have ever been if it hadn't been broken. There we go. That's who he is. So he gives us this glimpse. So he's been showing us his might and his power. He's been showing us all of this. And now he's showing us this aspect of his character, this little bit of a twist here so that we can see this part of it, and that is Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh Rapha. He is the healer. This is the one who sews you back together. This is the first proclamation. He's making this beautiful proclamation over them during this whole section. He's saying, listen, if you diligently listen to the voice of Adonai, your God, and you do what's right in his eyes, pay attention to his mitzvot and keep all of his decrees. He's saying, if you'll keep this marriage covenant, if you're going to do the things, then he's going to put none of the diseases on you, which he's put on these Egyptians. He says, I am Adonai who heals you. He's revealing to them in this sweet moment Yes.
Brenda, thank you for that. He's
You're
revealing,
welcome.
I am Jehovah Rapha. They haven't known him as Jehovah Rapha yet.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
They know him as the God
Yeah.
who destroys armies.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's saying, I am the God who heals you.
Put you back together better than you were before you were broken.
Because they're probably fractured feeling right now.
Yeah. Are any of you feeling that way right now? Are any of you feeling so fractured that your pieces, you don't even want to get sewn together because your pieces are fractured? You don't want fractured pieces sewn together to fractured pieces, right? But that's what he's saying is, I am going to mend it together in such a way that it's better than before it fractured, before these things happened, before the trauma took place, before the wounding. I am that. That's who I am. That's what he's saying. This is what he wants to do. And I love this about the Holy One, Charlie. It's just one little sentence. It's just one little sentence. And he drops it like a nuclear bomb blast. It's one little tiny sentence. Are you going to catch it? Because if you don't pay attention, you may not hear it. It's one little tiny thing. For I am Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, that mends you and sews you together better than when you were whole in the first place. I make it better. That's who I am. And we'll miss it if we're not paying attention. Of course, he'll always bring us back to it. But today, if you're feeling that fracture in you, just know that this word is for you today. This is for your children. This is for your parents. This is for your aunts and uncles. This is for your cousins. This is for your neighborhood. This is for the people that God's placed in your path. This is who he is. And he wants to see that in you. He wants to see that mended together better than it ever was before it ripped.
Yes. That's so good.
That's who he
Mary
is.
Catherine Mary Catherine says, and they were on, I'm glancing quick, so I'll read these later again. It says, and they were on their way to Sukkot. You guys, there's not it's not a accident that names are thrown in, they're on their way to Sukkot. We know Sukkot is this beautiful time. We know what happens when we honor Sukkot. They're on their way back to start the feasts and the festivals. This has happened. They're on their way to Sukkot. They're on their way. I mean, gosh, spend some time in that. Oh my gosh, we're out of time. I mean, spending time in that. Do you have anything on manna that you wanted to share?
I love that it's like little pillows of coriander and honey. It's like little pillows of these yummy, tasty morsels that have never been seen before. And guess what? Just like you said, Charlie, before, when he leads you into the wilderness, he's the one that provides for you there. You're not being able to find the food on your own, okay? When you're being led into the wilderness, it means that the shepherd has to take you to the place where the provision is. The sheep aren't going to find it on their own. They have to be led. That's what he's doing. And now all of a sudden they're standing there and a miracle from the sky is coming down. I mean, what more? And then there's more. And then there's more. And then there's more. And now he's saying, this is who I am. I'm not only going to heal you, I'm going to provide food for you when there is no food. I'm going to give you food that you can't even imagine. Manna, what? What is it? What is it? That's what it is. It's these wonderful things. And then he takes us right into, Charlie, and this is really essential because of what we were talking about in chapter 15. He's saying, if you will honor my mitzvot, this is where he's teaching us again to come back to the Moedim, to honor his calendar, what he says are the holy days. Not what we say are the holy days, but what he says are the holy days. So he's saying honor it. Now, no condemnation in that, guys. Please, we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, we are not the pagan
totally
police.
No.
No one in this group is allowed to be the pagan police.
No.
So there you go.
No.
That said,
however, what we will do is that we will promote to you that his calendar, his dates, his and even that, there's all kinds of things happening with calendars and dates changing and all that. Do the best you can. All right. Really, wherever you are, if you're with us and you don't have a congregation that you're going to, then follow us and, God will protect you in that. And if you're with a congregation that has a different calendar, that's okay. But the thing is that the Shabbats are always the Shabbats.
Yeah.
Okay. So you
Amen.
start with the Shabbats and you go from there. But all of the holy days, if you will honor them, there is life and health and peace and restoration for your life, for your family, for your generations, the ones that aren't even born yet, that you don't even know. That's what this is all happening. So keeping his calendar is really important. So he's telling us, Charlie, in here, that there is something about keeping his calendar, something about the festivals, something about the Shabbat. He's saying, don't work on the Shabbat. He's saying, I'm going to provide double for you. You're not even going to have to.
This is
And
countercultural. This is
yes,
countercultural. Even today,
100%,
guys,
especially
this is
today.
countercultural. We are totally in Egypt. It's countercultural
Yeah,
to let someone
100%.
else lead you to provision.
Right. Because we can do
It's
it ourselves.
countercultural. We're supposed to get up and pull yourself by your bootstraps and go find and go out and get your money and go make your provision and go. Now, I'm not telling you to be lazy and lay around and wait for manna to drop from heaven, but I'm just saying
No.
he can take us into a place where he's saying, that place, the wilderness, is actually this pasture, this place where he brings the provision, where he leads us.
Right.
So are you asking him, Father, lead me today in your provision?
Yes.
Lead me by the still waters. Lead me today, Father, into the day, as we go today at night in the day of rest. He wants to lead you in those things. And I mean, it's beautiful. It's countercultural. It is countercultural, but it's what sets you apart. It is the ring. It is the way. It is the thing. Think if you're inside that ring, if you're inside of that place where he's protecting you. I'm thinking of like the ring around a shepherd when he builds, the, what's it called? I have COVID brain. The thing around them, the where and then he lays at the doorway.
Yeah.
That's like think of that. Look at that as the ring. Look at
Yeah.
the thing that he's putting around the sheep to protect them at night.
Mhm.
Oh, it's just beautiful, guys. This is such a good.
Hey, and before we leave, there's one more at the very end, right before we get to the end of the Parsha. And Linda Millett has a beautiful, we'll have to get together and talk about this, maybe do it on a Tuesday talk or something, but where he declares himself Yud-He Vav-He Nisi. And Linda was saying that we know that as that he is Lord of the Banner, right? But the word Nisi, the root of that word is also the word for miracles. So he is the Lord of miracles. And that's what the proclamation was when they lifted their flags up. There you go. I see it, Caitlin. I see it. Woohoo! Yes. So that's just one. Thank you so much for that, Linda, too. But see, don't miss that. So go back before the sun sets tomorrow. Go back and read that and let that just
read all the ways
into you. That's another thing that he wants to be for you, is the Lord of the miracles. I mean, seriously, because why? Because he promised that he would annihilate Amalek, and Amalek, because Amalek is the one that wants you dead because you breathe, not because of anything else, but just because you breathe. Because you breathe, Amalek wants you dead. And that's what chapter 17 is about. Okay. It's different than people that have a gripe with you because of territory or whatever. This has nothing to do with territory. This is they will hunt you down and lay snares for you solely because you are alive. Because you are alive. That's it. These are unfortunately the generations of Esau who didn't get over it.
That he will be blotted out. They will
be blotted out.
For those of you, who seem to grab onto those things and say, "What, now the Amalekites are coming after you." Listen, he is Adonai Nisi.
Yes, he is.
He's declaring that to you today.
Yes.
That if you have things coming against you just because you're breathing, he is right. Adonai Nisi. So lift the standard.
Amen.
What do you do?
That's it.
Get your worship on. Get your praise on.
Wave
girls.
your banner high. Let the words that come out of your mouth be words that glorify him, that set your room on fire.
Yes.
You don't have to wait for your circumstances to change.
They won't.
You change. Yeah. You say,
yes,
I am a daughter of the King Almighty. He is the one. He's the miracle maker. He's the one who
Amen.
sews things back together when they're so fractured and broken that the pieces can't even fit. He mends them back together. That's who he is. He's the one who gives water in the desert. He gives food in the wilderness. He leads us to that food. It's there, but he knows where it's at. We don't.
Right.
That's what he does. It's who he is. Ooh, this is such a good Parsha. Man,
We're done.
oh my goodness.
Y'all, may you be blessed. May you
Yes.
be, may this word be sealed in your heart. We pray
Love
that the
you.
Lord bless you,
Yeah.
that he keep you,
Yes.
that he causes his face to shine upon you, that he's gracious to you, and that he blesses you with perfect shalom. Wow. Shabbat
Wholeness,
shalom as you go in
completeness,
this
wellness,
yes.
health, deliverance, bills paid, everything provision wise made for you. Boom.
Yes. Hey, may he lead us all into the wilderness. Amen.
Yes.
To
No
find
kidding.
our identity.
Hey, I
Amen,
think that's the
amen.
place to be.
It's the place to be. Yeshua went
That's where the
there.
cool kids hang out.
Well, Yeshua went there to be tested in the wilderness. Oh, wait. And it said that God took the children in there to be tested. What does that, all right. Well, then I want you to do a study on what does that mean and get back to me. Love y'all.